Diane from Norfolk, New York.
And I'm Pastor Peggy from Slave Lake, Alberta.
And I'm Tami Davis, all the way from North Gore, Ontario.
Woo! We've got a special guest again today. I'm so excited.
I love having special guests. It adds such a new dimension and just love it. Welcome, Tami.
Let me tell you a little bit about Tami, because Tami is an integral part of actually the Slave Lake ministry, in that she has a group in North Gore, Ontario, and they're called Let's Outreach. And every Christmas, it's Tami's efforts with a whole bunch of people from Ontario that get together, and they send us all kinds of parcels and supplies so that we can do our Christmas outreach to the children in our neighborhood. So this is the face behind all of that happens in Slave Lake at Christmas time, or Slave Lake Wesleyan.
Just wanted to say I have many, and actually, yeah, it's more than just North Gore too. It goes all over, so it's exciting. It's exciting to see God at work. So
yeah,
that's wonderful.
And just like a little update, right now, Tami has been sending us some Afghans, and we've been giving them out to some people who are going through some illnesses and just some really difficult times with a little card. So yesterday, she contacted me and said, do you need any more Afghans? And I was like, well, if you have some, but I mean, postage is heavy and it's expensive and all that kind of stuff. And within an hour of our conversation, she had somebody contact her and say, does Slave Lake need any more Afghans? And then about like a little while after that, I mean, she can probably tell the story. A little while after that, Canada Post sends her a email with 40% off postage.
Wow.
yeah.
I know.
Well, today is Friday, and that means it's Find Out Friday.
Find Out Friday.
I know. I'm very curious to find out all this going on, especially in the kitchen. I love the kitchen, so I don't mind finding out what's happening in the kitchen.
Well, then I'm sure that even though this is my recipe, you will probably be giving me hints and tips and tricks.
Sure.
It's been a while since I've made this. Last week, we made my chocolate cake with coffee in it. And this week, we're going to make boiled frosting for that chocolate cake. Because what's better on chocolate cake than boiled frosting?
I know when you sent the recipe, I asked Diane, I said, boiled frosting, would by any chance this be 7-minute frosting? Because I remember my mom, as a special treat, would make the 7-minute frosting. So I think it's the same thing. I think I've only made it once, so this is kind of special. I'll be thinking of Mama as I'm making this, because it is one of her, if you really wanted a special birthday or a cake, then she'd say, well, I'll do the 7-minute frosting for you. So this is neat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, it's a funny thing, because my family, like my aunts and everyone, they would always make this boiled frosting, but my mom never did. So I have never made this. I've seen other people make it, but I've never tried it myself. So This is going to be exciting.
And my mother rarely made boiled frosting. If she did, I can't pinpoint any times that she did. So I always thought, oh my goodness, boiled frosting, it's so difficult and all this stuff. And I actually like making it better than just your regular icing sugar and milk and butter. So what you need, a couple of things that you need tool-wise, is a double boiler. I have my Paderno double boiler. When you start putting your stuff together, you'll want to put a little bit of water in the hot part, cover it up, and start it to boil so that it's ready once you get everything done. You'll also need a hand mixer because you're going to be mixing the ingredients together in the in the top part of the double boiler, and then you're going to be mixing it when it's over the boiling water.
I don't have a double boiler, so I know, right? But what I do have is I have my pot over on the stove here, but I have a metal bowl, and it fits nicely down into my pot, so I'm going to use that instead. So if you don't have a double boiler, I've already got my corn syrup in there, but if you don't have a double boiler, just a metal bowl on top of a pot that's boiling would work too.
Perfect. So what we start off with is 2 egg whites. So you're going to have a couple of egg yolks to deal with, but you can use those for almost anything. 1.5 cups of white sugar. And then your corn syrup or cream of tartar. So it's 1.5 teaspoons of corn syrup or 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. And then 1/3 cup of water. Distilled water, tap water, whatever water.
I forgot about the water.
Oh no!
1/3 cup.
And then a very precise measurement of salt. It's called a dash. There you go.
I gotta get some water. I forgot. Does it have to be cold water or warm water, or does
It says cold, so just right out of the tap. Don't.
So 1/3 cup?
1/3 cup, yep.
Sorry, I missed that part.
I don't know how you missed that.
And a dash of salt.
A dash of salt.
He was concentrating on the syrup part. That's what it was.
That's what it was. Now I see you're using a wooden spoon to stir your.
Just to kind of put it together, but then I will shift over to the mixer.
And I said last week I tend to be rather lazy, so if I used a spoon to mix it, that's another thing I have to wash.
Oh, true. Yes. Just go foamy. Do we make it foamy or just?
I just beat it until everything's combined, because once you put it on here, you're going to be beating it constantly for 7 minutes.
Okay.
And what I tend to do is I will set a timer for 7 minutes, not 10. Set a timer for 7 minutes, and when the timer goes off, then I'll see, has it formed the stiff peaks.
Okay.
And if it hasn't, then I beat for a little longer, But when you're beating it, of course, make sure that you get into all the corners, because it will, it'll cook if you're not constantly moving it around.
Right. Okay.
All right. So we ready to put it on the double boiler?
We're ready.
Double boiler.
And if you've never used a double boiler before, remember, you don't want the water touching the bottom of the top part. You want just enough in there to be boiling, but not too much. Alexa, set a 7-minute timer. Here we go. 7 minutes.
Question, on high?
Yes. You
Okay.
heat it on high for 7 minutes.
Okay.
So you see that I've got peaks there and they're standing up. That's
Right,
the type of consistency you want.
Mine's not quite there yet.
And now what you want to do is add your vanilla, which is 1 teaspoon. And as I mentioned, or I guess I didn't mention this last week, but I have a clear vanilla, which is really great for boiled frosting because it's not going to give you that brownish tint. But if you have brown vanilla, No worries.
Ground
So,
vanilla.
teaspoon. And then you beat it again for another 2 minutes. And one thing I've noticed, if I get any splatters with this stuff, it's much easier to wipe it up right away. So this is something as a cook that you have to do. You take the beaters and you have to clean them off, either with your finger or with your tongue.
Right.
Now, I actually forgot that the vanilla I have is a pure vanilla instead of artificial. So mine is maybe a touch too vanilla-y.
Oh, really?
And I forgot about that, but
Mine is a pure vanilla as well, but I really like the vanilla flavor on it. So I guess it's, you know.
And it could be the different quality. Mine is from Mexico, so I don't know if it's a stronger flavor than Sobeys.
I had a vanilla one time, and it was a Madagascar one that I picked up somewhere, and I only had to use half of what it called for, and even then it was really vanilla.
Yeah, Madagascar vanilla, they say, is the best in the world.
Yeah. It was. I don't have any of that right now because I haven't seen any around Slave Lake. To be honest.
So there's a couple different ways you can ice it. I have a Wilton. It's made more for the type of cakes that you have, Tami, where it's going to be flat. And then I have a spreader too. But since I have a bundt cake, I'm going to use the spreader. Small one.
I have got a lot of icing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my cake in half and put a layer of icing in the middle.
Oh.
So I'm going to take half, I'm going to grab another plate here.
Yes, this recipe does make a ton of icing, and I always have some left over, but I figure that's just, tasting stock.
Ah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just going to put mine right here in the middle, and I don't have a fancy smancy spreading machine like you have, so I'm just going to use a butter knife.
Butter knives work perfectly for so many things. Have you used a butter knife for anything other than food, Tami?
I'm sure. Yes, I've used it to pry open jar lids. I've used,
Screwdriver.
Yeah,
Screwdriver. Yep.
it can work as a screwdriver. And I think more with something stuck, you just sort of like to put it in. But I think it's more for jars of preserves or something.
Right.
The one thing I do remember with this, the icing goes solid quite quickly, so you got to really move quick.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It can.
Oh.
Yeah.
At least I find mine is starting to harden a little bit on the bottom, so.
I find it always hardens on the bottom of the pan.
I was going to say mine is sticking to the edges pretty well.
Yeah.
So I've got mine, the middle icinged. So now I'm going to plop. I feel like I'm on an episode of The Cake Boss or Buddy versus Duff or
Nailed It.
Or Nailed It, yeah. I love that show on Netflix, Nailed It. You know what? This is actually very good because it's not sweet. Like, you know how you get a cake and the icing, you want to scrape most of it off because it's really sweet. This is actually very nice. It's almost like a whipped cream.
Yeah. At this point, you can add stuff as decorations.
So yes, the trouble is when I put it up to the other thing. Remember, when it's setting, you don't move it around a lot because it started to slide off when it's above. So yeah, let it sit now because this type of icing does take a bit for it to gel, I find, so or kind of go solid. So
yeah. So Pastor Peggy, what are you going to do with your cake? And
I'm not sure yet. I mean, I'm not a big chocolate fan.
You have to at least try a piece.
I will try a piece, but I'll probably, I don't know. I was going to say I'll probably save it for, like, we're thinking about having like a small little gathering in our parking lot, like physically distancing everybody and stuff. But I don't know if it'll stay for that long, so we'll see. So Tammy, what are you doing with your cake?
So, as I say, we're going to give it to a friend, but I just haven't decided quite who yet. But yeah, I know God will give me the right person, and then I'll say, okay, the cake's going there. So
on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this recipe for ease of making?
Yeah, no, I think it's quite good, and I think it's easy for people because pretty much ingredients you have, sugar, eggs, all that, and once you it's not like you don't have to get it like candy where you need a certain temperature. Just once it starts to form that, then it's fine. So yeah, no, I think it's quite easy. So if somebody was really wanting to make it for the first time and not really a person in the kitchen, then yeah, that should work. So yeah, I think it's good.
I was actually really surprised. I'd seen, like I said at the beginning, I'd seen other people make it, but I thought it was actually complicated. So I've never ever tried it. So I'm glad that you taught it to us because now I have a new icing.
Woohoo!
So from Slave Lake, Alberta, I'm Pastor Peggy Yetman.
And from North Gore, Ontario, I'm Tami Davis.
And from Norfolk, New York, I'm Pastor Diane Hutchinson. We will see you on Tuesday. Be safe.
Be healthy.
And be the church.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.